Hey everybody, welcome to the third lesson in our current unit called set theory. Last lesson we started breaking down our sets a little bit more specifically using Venn diagrams. And again, remember a Venn diagram is just a really easy way for us to display what we're working with. Even if the question doesn't ask you to draw a Venn diagram, I find it really helpful to always draw it and to always list the elements in each of my sets. Now, let's take a peek here. What we're working with today, we're just going to take Venn diagrams just a little bit further, not much. So let's just go back and review the last lesson. The word "and" in mathematics means we're looking at the intersection of the sets. Okay, and what I really need you to know is that's the elements that occur in both of the sets, the elements that are in A and also in B. The word "or" means the union. So again, think of like in real life, a union means a group of people that are joining together. So you're typically becoming bigger. So I'm in one set, the other set, or their intersection. I'm in one, the other, or both. So that's what we did last lesson. Today, what we're going to look at is just using the symbols a little bit more, which are called operators, which are on our formula sheet, by the way. So the intersection of the two sets is the set A and B, and we use the symbol, remember we saw that last lesson, almost looks like an upside down U. The union of two sets is A or B, and that looks like a U, conveniently, right? And these operators can be graphed algebraically using a Venn diagram. So that's what we were working on a little bit in the last lesson. Again, I would always draw a Venn diagram, even if the question doesn't ask me to. It's a helpful thing to have. Okay, so the next question here says we're going to shade the region that we're looking for. Okay, so the first one says A union B. So that means I'm in A, I'm in B, or I'm in both. So I'm going to shade, and guess what? There's A union B right there. Nice. Okay. This one here says A intersect B, and remember that little prime symbol means not. So this means not A and B. I'm not in A and B. Now, when I do these questions, what I do is I actually pretend for a second that the prime's not there. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to cross that off. I'm going to pretend it's not there. So I'm going to shade A and B. So A and B. There's A and B. Yeah? Now I'm going to then bring my prime back. And it says not A and B. So I want everything that's not in A and B. Well, not in A and B is everything on the outside. So everything on the outside, including things that are outside both of our circles. Just like that. Bingo. Okay. So again, when I get one of these questions where there's a prime, I like to personally do it first without the prime. I cover it up, and then I shade the opposite of that, what I don't want. So on the next one, this says not A or B. Well, again, I'm going to cover that up prime, pretend it's not there. So I'm going to say, where's A or B? So I shade A or B. A or B would be these two circles put together. But now there is a not right there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shade not A or B. So I go outside A or B, all of that region right there. Okay, So we like to get a lot of Venn diagram questions like this where we simply just have to shade them. It's really good practice to see if you really understand what you're doing just by shading them, not even describing what the sets are, what they're even talking about. Just, can I shade them? All right, so a couple easy ones there. You'll have some tricky ones in your homework, just so you know when you're working through, but they're good questions. Now, here we go. We've got an actual question with a couple of clearly defined sets. So I always want to know what I'm working with. So the universe is whole numbers less than 31. So the factors of 24. So remember, there's a lot of definitions in this unit. So factors of 24, those are the numbers that divide into 24. Whole number, remember, starts at 0. Now that's not going to affect our question, but it's just good to remember. Okay, factors of 24. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, 24. Factors of 30. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 15, 30. Just did a double check there. Think I have them all. That's good. Now, even if the question didn't ask me to, I'm always going to label those sets. State every element in the set, I should say. That's question A anyway, so bang. Okay, question B says create a Venn diagram. So even if it doesn't say, tell me to draw a Venn diagram, I'm drawing a Venn diagram. So F and G. So here's F. Here's G. It says draw the Venn diagram. Where I'm actually going to start on this one is I'm going to start at the intersection where the two sets overlap. So everything that's in common. So I see 1's in common, 2's in common, 3's in common, 6 is in common. Looks like it. So I just write those in here. 1, 2, 3, 6. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and find F only, the elements that are only in F. So 4, 8, 12, 24. And then I'm going to go fill in G only, the elements that are only in G. Okay. Now, don't forget, and it's an easy thing to forget, that out here in this region of our Venn diagram is a bunch of numbers. We can't forget that this universe is defined as the set of whole numbers that are less than 31. So we have a bunch of numbers out here. We're missing 0, 7, 9, 11, 13, 14, 16, 17. Heck, I don't know if I'm going to be able to fit them all in here. 18, 19, 20, 21. I'm kind of going all over the place now to get them in there. 22, 23, 24. No, 24, not 24. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and not 31 because it says less than 31. So that was a lot of numbers to put out there, but it's really important that you're always not forgetting about that region. Part C, determine F union G. Okay, so F union G, I'm just going to use my highlighter here. F union G would be that right there. So F union G would be all those elements, and it doesn't hurt to put them in increasing order if you can. It certainly helps your teacher when they're trying to figure out if you know what you're doing or not. Oh, look at, I already missed the 4. 4, 5. It's all of these, so this is going to be a pretty big set. 6, 8, 10, 12, 15, 24, 30. Okay, so again, union means we're putting everything together from the two sets. So A or B. Union usually getting bigger. D. D says find F intersect G. Well, F intersect G is, I'm going to switch to red, right There's F intersect G. So F intersect G is what's in the middle, the elements that are in both sets that are in common, 1, 2, 3, 6. Now, E and F is where we start to get a little bit trickier. E. So what this says is not F and G. So remember what my little trick here, I'm just going to erase a little bit, is I like to first pretend that that's not there. So I find F and G, which is right there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to think about what's on the outside of that. Well, everything that's on the outside of that is all the numbers that are not 1, 2, 3, 6. All the numbers that are not 1, 2, 3, 6. So this would be going to be a lot of numbers here. Everything on the outside. Now, I'm not going to have space to write them all, but 0, 4, 5, 7, 8, ... I'm going to skip a bunch because I'm just simply going to run out of room, all the way up to 29, 30. Everything on the outside. F says not F union G. Not F union G. Not F or G. So I'm going to go again, highlight what is F or G. There's F or G. So I want not that. Well, on everything on the outside then. All of these numbers. Again, there's quite a few because our universe is pretty darn big, isn't it? But there it is. So I need everything out there. So again, a lot of numbers. 0, 7, 9, 11, and I'm just going to go ... anything that's on the outside. 28, 29. So again, if the question doesn't tell you to draw the Venn diagram or to list the elements, guess what? Your teacher really wants you to draw a Venn diagram and list the elements. That's really a big part of the understanding of the question. Usually, if you can visually display it in a Venn diagram, you're going to get the question right. So always try to draw that Venn diagram. Okay, let's try another one of these ones. Next page. You can tell just by the font of this question that it was right off a diploma. They love to give us these questions. So Tim here has given these 3 Venn diagrams with shading to represent a set operation. They're followed by 4 possible set operations, and then we need to reference it. So this was a numeric response when it was on our diploma. Okay, so first one here, it says, look at the shaded region. This is outside of F or G, right? So this green region right here that I'm drawing, that would be F or G, also known as F union G, but we want that gray region on the outside, so that would be not F and G. So that, or F union G, sorry, so that would be number 4. Oh. Okay, next one. Well, the shaded region on the next one here, this might be the easiest one, right there. Well, that's F and G. That's a pretty easy one. That's that one. Okay, C is a little bit trickier. So at least at this point, we're down to knowing that it's either going to be, if I had to guess, and sometimes you have to, right, on one of these questions, that's okay. We know we're at least down to 2 or 3. So if we had to guess, we're there. Okay, what this is looking for here is, I'm saying, look at what I've got. That part there, this little moon shape here, that's F only. That's what that shaded region there is. They're the elements that are only in F. Right? Okay, so now I'm going to look at 2 and 3. And 2 says F intersect not G. F intersect not G. Well, if I went F intersect not G, then guess what? That area that we have highlighted in yellow right now would be covered. So I don't think it's that one. Let's look at the next one. Next one says not F union G. Okay, I'm going to go and try and draw that on my diagram. So I'm just going to erase my yellow here. So this one here says not F. So here's F. I want not F. That's what this one says right here, not F. So not F would be everything on the outside of F. But then it says union G. Well, union G means I'm going to add G back in. And that little section there is going to get drawn over. And so guess what? There is not F union G. So the answer to this one will be 3. So you can see how much, I mean, it's convenient that I've got a pen here on my laptop and I can draw all over these things. I find it really convenient to use colors in class when I'm writing these things. So if you have an erasable pen or erasable pencil crayons, I mean, it's a fantastic place to use them. Okay, last one. Put a big star beside this one as well. I mean, this is a short unit. Not a lot of questions I can ask you, but this is a very, very, very typical question. So a survey of 34 students showed that 20 like Star Wars, 15 like Avengers, 4 like neither. What is wrong with these 4 people? Okay, so determine how many students like only the Avengers. Well, notice how the question doesn't ask me to draw a Venn diagram. Guess what I'm going to do? Draw a Venn diagram. Come on. Why wouldn't you? They always put my box for my universe. So there's 34 students here. Boom. Star Wars, I'm going to label my sets. Star Wars, Avengers. And it never hurts, you know, to maybe just write even this. There's 15 people who like Star Wars, or 15 that like Avengers, and 20 that like Star Wars, just like that. And 4 that like neither. Okay, question is now, where am I going to start? Well, this is an easy one to start with. 4 like neither. So that's these people out here. I don't know what they're into, but they're not into these awesome movies. There's 4. So now how are we going to get the rest of these regions here? We've got 3 regions in our Venn diagram we haven't filled in. We got Star Wars only, Avengers only, and the people that like Star Wars and Avengers. Okay, so I got to start somewhere. If possible, I like to start in the intersection, the people that like both. But they don't explicitly give me that information. But guess what? We're going to figure it out. The survey says there's only 34 people in the class. But look at these numbers here. It says that 20 like Star Wars, 15 like Avengers, and 4 didn't like either. Well, if I add those up, that's 39 students. What? There's only 34 students in the class. How can there be 39 answers if there's 34 students? Well, what that means then is that a couple or a few students answered more than once. So if I figure out there's 34 students in the class, but I've got 39 answers come back to me, that means there's 5 people that have been counted twice. Or the other way to say that is there's 5 people that like both. That's the intersection. That's S and A. That's the intersection. There's 5 people that like both. So as soon as we find that intersection of both the sets, everything falls together from there. So how many people like Star Wars only? Well, 20 people like Star Wars, and 5 people like both. So I'm going to subtract that. So now you see how 15 plus 5 gives me the 20. And it says 15 people like Avengers and 5 like both. So guess what? There's 10. Now, I don't have a great way to check my work in this unit, right? I can't pick up my graphing calculator. I can't sub numbers back in. But the one thing I can do to check my work to make sure I've maybe got this right is add everything back up together. So that's what I'm going to do. 15 plus 5 is 20, plus 10 is 30, plus 4 is 34. Guess what? There's 34 students in the class. Pretty sure I nailed this thing. So now the final question, this is crazy, but when I'm up marking diplomas, this right here was essentially a question off the written on the diploma. All these kids wrote this beautiful Venn diagram and they just left it. They didn't answer the question. Sounds silly, but answer the question. How many students liked Avengers only? Avengers only, right here. That's it. So as long as you did something on the diploma to indicate that that was where you wanted me to be looking as the marker, then you're going to get the marks. Hey, write a sentence. 10 students liked Avengers only. Easy peasy. Write me a sentence. Bare minimum, indicate the region you want to look for. So put a big star beside this question. It's important. Okay, again, notice what we did to figure out the intersection. We added up all of the responses and we said, wait a minute, there's more responses than there are people. We subtract, and that's going to tell us how many people were counted twice, how many people like both. Okay, very, very, very common question. Okay, so at this point, a lot of vocabulary. Now, a lot of these things are on my formula sheet, but you should know these definitions down here. Okay, I really need you to know these definitions. I need you to know what a prime number is. Prime starts at 2. Okay. Another one that would be good to know is composite. Okay, composite starts at 4. Okay, you should know what the empty set is. Empty set looks like that, or that. Disjoint means we got nothing in common. Mutually exclusive, we'll talk a little bit about coming up, but that means essentially the same thing as disjoint. Union means we're adding things together. Intersection means I'm common in both. You should know what factors and multiples are. Hopefully you know that intersection is and, union is or. There's all my symbols that I need you to know on my formula sheet. Okay, my friends, there's another one done. Hope that worked for you. See you in the next one.